universities and has led many youth initiatives around the country. Currently, Sheikh Abdullah is serving as the Imam of the newly built Masjid As-Sahaba in Conroe, Texas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد to be very frank and honest, I don't necessarily like the title of this lecture. I think the topic itself is extremely important. However, I disagreed with the title, and by the time I voiced my opinion, it was already too late because the things had been printed out. However, inshallah ta'ala, with that being said, the topic itself is still a very important topic that needs to be discussed and addressed with our young people. Because everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, things on the television, what you see on the internet, everything that there's an advertisement for is calling you to have sexual relations. Everywhere you turn. As they say here in America, sex sells. If they want to sell a car, they put a half-naked woman next to the car as an advertisement. They're selling a car. What does the woman have to do with selling cars? Because they're trying to use this, they're trying to use sexuality in order to sell their product. Every single time you turn on the internet, even if you go, just like, for example, Yahoo. If you have, like some of us have Yahoo as their homepage. You open up Yahoo, right there on the homepage, there are pictures. Those pictures are designed to incite our emotions. One of the emotions that it's designed to incite is our desire for being with the opposite sex. So we have to, as young people, have to know how to deal with this. We have to be aware of this. What does Islam say about this? Today, inshallah ta'ala, I have two pieces of advice. The first, if there are any adults here, any adults? Adults? Parents? Are you parents? Okay. You have parents over here? MashaAllah. My grandparents, MashaAllah. My first piece of advice is to the adults in the room. Marry your children. Do not wait till they graduate and get their PhD to start discussing marriage. How old is a person when they get their PhD, or the time they get their MD and they're done their residency and now they have a real job as their doctors? How old are they? 30. Do you really expect your child, who's been growing up in a country where every single day they're being stimulated with sexual stimulation, do you expect them to wait till they're 30 years old to try to experience what people naturally have a desire to experience? Do we really think they're going to wait that long? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ya ma'shar al-shabab, man istata'a minkum, a few minutes ago, during the time of the Sahaba, you had the boys were getting married 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, and they were married and having children. In our time today, we consider getting married at 21 as being early. 22, that's early. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were getting married in their teens. And they didn't have some of the influences that we have in our society today. Now, I'm not saying that you should take your 13-year-old daughter and go find her husband. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that this discussion of marriage should be something that once our child reaches an age of puberty, and now we command her to put on her hijab. We command him to start making salah. The discussion between us as parents needs to start happening. Who is this child going to marry? Is there anyone in our community that's good and suitable as a spouse? Here in our community, Brother Nader isn't here, and Brother Zahir is also not here. But I saw those two fathers in this community did something that I thought was an extremely, extremely important example. And all of us I would advise all of us to follow. What they did was, before their children went off to college, after high school, right before they went off to go to college, the two fathers got together, discussed the issue, and this father agreed that his son, his daughter, they should get married. And they married them. And what they agreed to do was to support them. Both families would be responsible to share each family sharing a portion of being responsible to take care of them and handle them financially while they're in school and while they're getting themselves to a point where they can take care of themselves. And that will serve as a protection for them. That way, when they go off to college and now they're out of the house of their parents and they're inside of society, now that's going to serve as a protection for them so they don't fall into something that Allah Azza wa Jal is displeased with. Wallahi, I thought this was a wonderful idea. And it goes in line with the sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So my advice to myself and because I'm a father, I have children who are now getting ready to graduate from high school. So my advice to all of us is that we should start the discussion of marriage. And we should be involved in who our child is going to get married to. I'm not saying that we should, so don't worry, youngsters, I'm not trying to tell your parents to choose your spouse for you, but I am saying to the adults that we need to start that discussion now. We need to start looking in our community now. We need to start opening our mind to the idea that my child does need to get married. Because this society in particular is not a society that we want to leave our children without spouses. If we do, then we may put our children in danger and put them at risk of falling into illegal sexual intercourse. May Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us all. My second piece of advice is to the youngsters. You young people here, which you make up the majority. I'm talking to the girls and I'm talking to the boys. Zina, or in English, fornication, is a horrible and despicable sin. In the Quran, you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, don't do such and such. Don't do this. Don't do that. Okay? As it comes to zina, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to fornication, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Don't come close to fornication. He didn't say don't fornicate. He said don't come close to fornication. Meaning, don't even put yourselves in predicaments that will lead you to have that type of thing happen to you. So, your late night conversations on the phone with Becky, right? What y'all do now? Kick messaging. Huh? Listen, I know all that stuff. Your parents may not know about it. I know about it. Messages that self-destruct, thinking your parents ain't going to find out about it. You can ask my kids everything they do. I know about it because I monitor it. And the parents, I'll let you know when the kids leave. There's some tools that are out there that you can purchase to monitor those types of things. But anyway, the texting. Because, wallahi, listen, I'm telling you, fornication is not just the actual act of doing it. The Prophet ﷺ said that every part of your body fornicates. Every part of your body does what? Fornicates. He said, ﷺ, the fornication of the eye is to look. The fornication of the hand is to reach out and touch. The fornication of your feet is to walk you to it. He said, then your body will either make it true or make it false. Meaning you end up falling into the real act of fornication, the one that there's a specified punishment for. So to look, there's zina. To touch, there's zina. To walk to it, it's zina. So sexting is zina. You with me? Y'all understand what I'm talking about? Parents, y'all know what that is? Right? The kids are doing it. And I'm only talking about it because I'm not talking about the kuffar. The Muslim children are Muslim girls who live right here, who come to this masjid, are doing this thing called sexting. Saying, oh, I'm not committing any zina. We're not touching each other, we're not doing anything. Wallahi, it's zina. You can either call it zina of the fingers, or you can call it zina of the tongue. Call it whatever you want to call it. It is zina. It is fornicating. And it is a horrible and a disgusting characteristic. And it is a mistake that you cannot take back. Some mistakes, for example, if I did like this and I'm talking, I knock the water off the table, that's a mistake. I can say, oops. Oh, I didn't mean for you to have to do that shit. It's not okay. I can say, oops, and guess what? It's fixed, right? Some mistakes, there is no oops. You will never, ever, ever be able to bring your honor back once it happens. If you allow for your honor to be taken in a way that Allah Azza wa Jal is displeased with, you will never, ever, ever be able to get that back. Ever. Once it's gone, once that honor, that sanctity, that's something that we value in our virginity, once that's gone, wallahi, you can't get it back. You'll never ever be able to say, oh, I got it back. Never. Sisters, my young sisters, what are you going to say to your future husband when he sits down at the table? You have your dad and your uncles, your mother and your aunts sitting at the table, and he says, which is a very, right now in America right now, it's a very important question. Are you a virgin? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Are you going to lie? Then you get married on a lie. Or are you going to tell the truth and embarrass yourself and the entire family? Bring shame to yourself and your entire family. Wallahi, ikhwan, my little brothers and my little sisters, there is no honor in disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know, listen, I went to public school. I grew up in New Jersey. Okay? I went to public school. They come to you and they say, hey, Becky likes you. She thinks you're cute. She wants to hook up after school. Right? You say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that. Are you gay? Right? That's what they say. Even the girls. Right? We're talking about the girls. Becky's little girlfriend says, you know my friend Becky? Yeah, she wants to hook up with you. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Are you gay? Right? That's what she's going to say to you. Now you feel like your manhood is being challenged. I'm not gay. I'm going to show you I'm not gay. Right? No. Listen, your honor is not worth it. This is your honor that you're talking about, the honor of you and the honor of your family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Don't come close to committing fornication. Don't come close to it. Not just don't do it, don't come close to it. There's some people in this masjid that we know, they regret the decisions that they made. I know because I talked to them. They've allowed their honor to be taken and they regret it. You all have an opportunity to remain chaste, to remain honorable. You need to stay that way. And I'm going to leave you, inshallah ta'ala, because my time is getting up. I'm going to leave you with this statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, where Al-Imam ibn Abi Shayba, rahimahullah ta'ala, he narrated that Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he called his sons one by one. Or it could also be the word wulman, could also be understood his slaves, his slave boys, the young boys that he had that were under his authority. He called them one by one. And each one he would say in private, Ala uzawijuk, should I not get you married? And then he said, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that he would say to each one of them, Man zana, فَمَنْ زَنَا مِنْكُمْ, or he said, وَمَنْ يَزْنِي نَزَعَ اللَّهُ مِنْهُ نُورَ الْإِيمَانِ. Whoever from amongst you commits intercourse or illegal sexual intercourse, Allah will remove from him the light of Iman. Allah will remove from him the light of Iman. Iman has a light. Have you ever seen someone who he comes in, he just brightens the room? This Iman. Iman has light. Carries with it light. And when you commit this illegal sexual intercourse, that light is taken from you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that light from you because your Iman goes with it. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا يزني منكم زاني ولا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن. That while the man or the person committing sexual or illegal sexual intercourse is committing that sexual intercourse, he's not a believer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the light of Iman from you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the light of Iman from you. So my advice to you young people, guard yourselves. Be strong. It's okay not to have a girlfriend. It's okay not to have a boyfriend. Actually, no, it's not this us okay. You're supposed to not have a girlfriend. You're supposed to not have a boyfriend. Those who have boyfriends and girlfriends and all these wrong relationships, they're the ones who are wrong, not you. So if people are pointing and laughing and making fun, then let them say what they want to say. Let them say it. It's okay. Let them talk. Because in Jannah, you're going to be laughing at them. And they're going to be calling out in the hellfire, oh, we don't want to live anymore. Oh, we don't want to live anymore. And inshallah ta'ala, your parents who support you and who love you, they're going to take my advice, inshallah ta'ala, and they're going to marry you. They're not going to make you wait till you're 30. They're going to marry you young. So man, I want to talk to your dad. Inshallah, I'm thinking of someone right now. I want to get you married. Okay? You want to get married too? No, we have to get married. Get married. It's a happy thing. Let's be men. Right? You guys, when I used to be the imam here, one of the things that the boys used to say, used to talk about, our parents don't, they don't treat us like we're adults. They want to always treat us like we're kids. We're responsible. We can do things, right? You want to be men? Let's be men. Let's be men, right? Let's get married. Let's take responsibility for a woman. Let's protect her, provide for her, shower her with love and mercy. Let's be responsible. It's an honorable thing to do. So, again, my advice to the parents is let's start having this discussion. Let's open up the discussion of getting our young people married. How do we get our young people married while they still get education and still help themselves in starting out? Let's start that discussion so we can protect our children from being tried with the fitna of zina. You young people, let's start preparing ourselves to be grown-ups. Let's start preparing ourselves to get married so that we don't have the light of Iman taken from us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and guide us and shower us with His mercy. Inshallah ta'ala, up next we have our Sheikh Abdullah Hernandez. So okay, I'm just going to read these questions really quick. Just take a few moments. Let's see here. How would a husband and wife get to know each other before marriage if they are not allowed to talk in Islam? No one said that the boy and the girl are not allowed to talk in Islam. They're allowed to talk. But you're just not allowed to talk at 2 a.m. on the phone, or on Facebook, right? No, that's not allowed. You don't need to be on the phone at 2:30 in the morning in order to get to know someone. But if they're in a supervised environment, even if man and woman talking is not haram. It's like for example, if the sister here, if she asks a question, I respond back to her, she responds back to me, respond back to her, that's permissible. Okay? We're in an environment where this is permissible to do. But if we were to go in a room and then close the door and it's just her or not, this is haram. So for example, if the sister, one of the young ladies, you wanted to get married to one of the young ladies, you go to her house, and let's say you and her are sitting in the living room, and she's sitting in one chair on one side of the living room, you're sitting in the other chair on the other side of the living room, and then there's a kitchen that's attached to the living room, and the parents are in the kitchen. They can't really hear exactly what's going on, but they're in eyesight, and they can hear in general, they hear words, but they don't necessarily can't hear exactly what's going on. That's a permissible conversation. And that can take place once, twice, 10 times. She can come to your house, you can go to her house, and as many times as you need to have discussions, you can have that discussion. So it's not that the husband and wife can't get to know each other. I advise the husband and wife to get to know certain things about the spouse before they get married. If your wife doesn't like red roses because, let's say, her mother died, and her mother's favorite flower was a red rose, and so now she's hurt every time she sees a red rose, you need to know that. So that you don't want your wedding night, you walk in the door with these roses, right? And she just busts out crying. Right? You don't want that to happen. So you do need to get to know one another. What would be a good age to be married? The age that you need to get married is at the age that you start to have interest in the opposite sex. That's what I would advise the age to get married. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Don't you think that having and buying these tools and such to monitor your children will force and lead our children to finding new ways to keep texting whatever they're doing? Jazakallah khairan. I'm going to say that they can try to find new ways, but they will find new ways to keep monitoring. Whatever I'm telling you, you children, you're not as smart as your parents are. And those of you who have parents who you think are just out of the loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach them the things that I know. Okay? I'm going to teach them. So inshallah ta'ala, they can be aware. Because we as parents have every right to be aware of who our children are talking to and what they're talking about. It's not that we don't trust our children. We are responsible in front of Allah for what our children are doing. Okay? And if we find that our children, alhamdulillah, are doing things that are okay, then we wouldn't have to do this type of monitoring. But anyway, if our children, even those, for example, those kick messages that self-destruct, we find ways to monitor that as well. What is sexting? That is text messaging about fornicating. I don't really want to get into too many details.